Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. It is me once again, screaming into the void of the internet. I kind of wanted to make this video not in response to what I said, because I did mention that I was going to go check out a parlor, and I did today, and whatnot. And I kind of want to talk about something in relation to segs that I think a lot of people, especially in this space, really don't seem to understand, right? They make it seem like if you're getting sex, that your life is it's so wonderful, right? You're getting female attention and stuff like that, and blah, 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 okay? But I think a lot of people don't really understand this, okay? A chick can tick every box but the sex. And what I mean is this, right? For all intents and purposes, when I went to the massage parlor, it was nice, right? It was nice. The gal looked nice. She had a good figure. She was nice. She was pleasant to look at, you know? She's exactly the type of gal that pretty much most people in this space will be more than happy, to be with. We get down to doing the do. Guys, while it wasn't necessarily, hot dog down the hallway, it just... I've had more intense pleasure, shall we say, from self-stimulation. That's just me being honest. The massage is great. She was nice to talk to, but the actual intercourse was very underwhelming. But I kind of wanted to mention this because there are guys thinking that it's a good idea to end themselves because they're not getting any, right? Again, this gal ticks every box, but the segs. There are guys that make it seem like, hey, listen, I've got a girlfriend and whatnot, and this is awesome, but man, she doesn't feel very good in the bedroom. And listen, I'm going to be honest, at least for me personally, I think that's really important. So listen, I'm going to go ahead and be honest, like my list of people I've been with is not very long. It's not very long. Because I've never really been the kind of I don't know what the heck I'm saying, never really been the type of guy to like flock around tons of chicks and stuff like that. For me, it was just like opportunity kind of thing, right? But there are a lot of guys that really make this crap seem like it's a lot bigger than it is. Because listen, when I finally did, lose it, I didn't feel better. I didn't feel any different. Because I think what most people don't really understand about sex is most of the time it is hollow. Now, yeah, it could just be you getting a nut in and whatnot, but it's hollow. Because most people don't really connect with one another. Maybe it would be different if, again, like we lived in a world where it was like, you actually had a virgin wife and stuff like that. And so hopefully the hope is that because it's, a virgin, that it's going to adhere to the shape of yours, shall we say. I'm going to keep certain details out and whatnot because obvious reasons. But that's the hope. Because, listen, there are some guys that straight up say, hey, listen, there are just some chicks in general that are just not that... they don't feel that good, man. They don't feel good. They don't feel that good. Even... because the sad part is, like, she called herself experienced and whatnot. So you're at least hoping that, like, okay, well, even if it's not going to feel that good, right? Even if it's not going to feel that good in terms of, like, the tightness or whatever, she's going to be, like, pretty enthusiastic about it, right? And listen, guys, she was tired long before I was tired, and I just had an hour, so. I'm not saying this is bragging. I'm saying this because there are guys out here that make it seem like it's this, like, glorious thing that's supposed to last for, like, eternity and whatnot, when reality is you're going to be doing, in typical standard operating procedure, all of the work. All of the work. Whether it's the work to try and get the gal, whether it's the work to freaking get to prove, in her mind, that you're worthy of her, and the thing that you're supposed to be, air quotes, worthy for, is not even that good. There are gals out here that think that they are the bee's knees, 10s out of 10s, right? And their crap feels terrible. They may have a nice personality, maybe they look nice, but their crap feels terrible. It's like, you're like, hold up, man. Hold up. So something right here feels terrible, probably smells terrible, Especially these days, because listen, these people out here are burning. Burning. These gals out here are burning more than forest fires, so if you guys are getting some, you better be wrapping up, you know? I don't ever freaking go to any gal these days not wrapped up, not that I really visit that often, you know? But for me, I kind of wanted to talk about this because, again, this gal ticked all the boxes that a lot of guys talk about in a relationship, but, again, felt terrible. And I'll go ahead and be honest, I'm not necessarily, hung like a horse downstairs. It's not small, it's just average. I think a lot of people have a very big misconception, because they watch porn all their lives, and so they think that all guys are supposed to have, like, freaking 12-inch cocks and crap like that. Listen, you got a human dick. It's meant to be inserted into a human woman and impregnate her. That's pretty much as simple as that. When you got size queens out here, freaking riding horse dildos and crap like that, I mean, you over here thinking that's impressive. I like to think of that as, you care that much that you want to go bang a horse, you go get a horse. Because, listen, I'm being real, I'm meant to bang human women. I'm sorry that you're into horses and crap like that, and there was a time where we we excommunicated people like that. We don't do it now. And, look at how degenerate this society has become as a result, Because at the end of the day, like I said, I've always said it like this. The biggest pervasers of sex is not men, even though people like to make it seem like, we're just sex-starved beasts. It's chicks. Chicks buy more sex toys and sexual entertainment and stuff like that than guys. They do. Again, I'm going to say it again. If I get a sex doll, right, in the full likeness of a woman, right, it's creepy. It's creepy. I'm not supposed to, right? But a chick can get horse dicks, dog dicks, dragon dicks, all kinds of stuff like that. You would be shocked what is out there for gals to get. But then they get on your arse when you choose to just say, hey, I want to get a sex doll. And again, guys, as a guy who's had, several gals, it's really not all that. Like, I think people really seem to underestimate the fact that most of the time it's going to feel hollow. And personally, it's really overrated. I'm not going to tell you that it's not pleasurable, but it's overrated. It's not all it's cracked up to be. Not by any means. Doesn't mean it's not worth doing. I'm not going to say that. As someone, again, who practitions every once in a while. And by every once in a while, I do mean, like, literally once in a while. Because for me, I just skip all the dating and whatnot. I just have always just preferred to, just go pay for it. Because it's cheaper. It's much cheaper. And for me, the deal is pretty good. Because I basically pay overall, right, $200. Because I pay for the massage itself, and that massage is like $80. And then I basically get to the sex. So the sex is like $120 for an hour. So I'm getting a massage, so I'm already going to get something out of it, even if I choose not to go full price, That's pretty good. And sometimes, if they like you already, then they'll at least give you a handy and whatnot. But even then, like I said, there are guys out here thinking that it's worth hating other guys, it's worth roping themselves, because they're not getting mediocre puss. Don't assume that just because a chick's got, like, a pretty face or whatever, that it's great down there. And like I said, I'm not necessarily freaking hung like a horse or something. I'm not small. I'm just average. And it felt mid. Now, could that be because she gets, like, a lot of clients? Yeah. But at this point, listen, respectfully speaking, not that I'm defending them by any means, what chick isn't getting slammed through, What chick isn't? And for all these guys that think that, oh, it's different in other countries and stuff like that, listen to me very carefully, okay? It's not different. If it was different in other countries, don't you think that they would be marrying their men? Why are they waiting on foreigners to come? Because they want the same crap. Tons of money, tons of resources, right? Just being real. Now, make no mistakes, it probably is a little bit better over there because the arrangement is just a lot more upfront and whatnot, but still, you know, still. For me, like I said, it's not really something I want to get involved with, you know, it's just something that is like an indulgence for me, you know. I enjoy pizza, but I know I can't eat pizza daily, you know. I enjoy certain sweets, but I know I shouldn't eat them daily. It's something that I indulge in every now and again. Even at this freaking restaurant that I'm working at, you know, like that food's good, and the only reason why I basically eat it so frequently is just because, well, it's a free meal, you know. Is it something that I should eat every day? Working? Probably not. And that's why I do try and take the opportunity to get a balanced, you know, diet. You know, I make sure I'm getting lots of greens. I'll get, like, you know, some carbs and protein. You know, I try and make sure it's a balance. I don't just try and overload on stuff, you know. That's why I like, you know, sometimes I'm mentioning, you know, when I'm like waiting on my ride and recording videos for, you know, I mentioned that it's a little irritating that there's not even a water fountain. Like everything there's just sugar or soda. You know, like the only thing there that isn't a soft drink is like lemonade. Everything else is like freaking Coke and root beer and Fanta and all this stuff, and it's like, geez, dude, just sugar, you know. Because like I said, you know, like there are things that I think a lot of people take for granted. You know, they take for granted. You know, it's not necessarily all that. It's not. It's not by any means. It's something that you should maybe indulge in occasionally, but it's not all that. I think it's the fantasy that is a lot more appealing. It's the fantasy, you know. Because listen, there's like a lot of guys that like look at prawn and they think that sex is going to be like that, but it's not. It's not. They look at, you know, dating in terms of like anime and fiction, and they think that it's going to be like that, and it's not. You know, in the real world, more often than not, most of the chicks that you're probably going to be with are not going to feel amazing. It still might be pleasurable, but it's not going to feel amazing. And as amazing as they might believe that they are in the bedroom, they're really not. It's just you doing all the work. And as amazing as they might think that they are to be with, they're really not. You're just the one covering the bills and getting the tab and all that bullcrap, yeah. You're doing all of the heavy lifting. And they feel like that's just your place because you got a dick and balls. You know? It's pretty silly that a lot of guys, in my opinion, speak from a perspective where they think that this is the end-all be-all when really it just feels like usury. Well, it doesn't feel, it is usury. And I really feel personally like, guys, it's not worth checking out for. It's not worth checking out for. You know? Don't check out because of this. There's a lot more to life, you know, that you can find to do with your time and whatnot. There's a lot more. I'm not going to tell you that, you know, you shouldn't if you felt like it was. Like, it is your life at the end of the day, but stuff like this, it's nothing, dude. It's nothing. There's a whole arse world, you know, that you can explore and whatnot. And I think a lot of guys are slowly coming to terms with the fact that, you know what, yeah, I'm going to do that. You know, I'm not going to sit around here and entertain all these notions that, you know, like I should be ashamed to go see a hooker if I really want to get some. You know, I should be ashamed that I'm not with a freaking person and I'm so lonely and all this bullcrap. Like, a lot more guys are slowly beginning to understand it. Now, when I say a lot more guys, I mean guys personally, in my opinion, and this might seem harsh, but I'm going to say it anyway. The guys worth saving. Sorry, not sorry. There are a lot of guys that aren't worth saving. They aren't worth saving. I'm not telling them this as like someone who wants to see them suffer, but if you're one of these bastards that sits around and ridicules anyone else, you know, for the fact that, oh, well, I'm in a relationship and you guys are just dumb arses, you need to just get your money up and work harder and all this crap. When he gets played, if he gets baby trapped, or if he gets a paternity fraud, any of that, good. I don't think it's a positive thing that someone gets screwed over, but in cases like that, good. Yes. Good. Because if you're one of these people that has the notion where as long as something isn't impacting me, I'm not gonna care. Yeah, screw you. Screw you. I get that subconsciously everyone slightly feels like that, you know? If you see an accident and you drive by it or you ride by it, you know, you're at least glad that it's not happening to you. And you might glance, but you're not going to concern yourself with it. But at the end of the day, like, I don't deny that I try and think about it like this. Like, someone did get hurt. Someone might have died. Stuff like that. I try and see the world for what it is. I don't try and, like, just focus on all this superficial crap. I try and lead a life where I focus on things that matter. You know? And those guys make it seem like your life is meaningless because you aren't getting what they're getting. And what they're getting, you're never going to go ahead and admit to you that, yeah, they're paying tons of money to maintain that crap. They have to maintain the mind games, entertainer, keep our interest, all that stuff. But they'll tell you that it's 100% worth it, as they don't have a dime to their name, really, realistically speaking. You might think that they do, but as long as she chooses to just say, you know what, I'm out. I don't care if we've been together 20 years, I'm out. Your life can go right down the drain. I don't really consider a lot of guys that are in relation craps to have money to their name, because at the end of the day, all it really takes is one word. One word from her, and that's gone. You know? I just wanted to say this as, not as like a review of, like, you know, the parlor, because I'm not reviewing the parlor, I just wanted to say this because, again, like, a lot of guys think that this is the end-all be-all. That you're somehow better than someone else because you did it, you know? It's not about being better than, like I said, when I lost mine, like, just paid and played. Did it feel good? Yeah, it felt good, but it didn't really feel any different than, like, say, a pocket puss. And to be honest, there are plenty of pocket pusses that'll feel better because they can constrict and whatnot, you know? But, too many guys think that this is like the end-all be-all and that their lives are meaningless because they aren't getting any. But there's a lot more to this life, guys. That is just a part of it. Don't treat this the same way that the forgots, the let's beings, treat their crap, okay? Where their whole identity is wrapped up in sex. And that's something that I think guys don't want to mention. You know, a lot of guys don't really care for the alphabet soup group. I don't. And I've said this plenty of times, I don't. But don't sit around here and say that stuff, and then you're over here making it seem like, well, I'm supposed to be getting sex 24/7, blah, blah, blah. I'm supposed to be smashing chicks. Because, listen, there's more to you. The same way that there's supposed to be, air quotes, more to them, than what's going on in between your legs. You can't do that 100% of the time, even if you were in a relationship. So, you know, that's just a part of it. It's not everything. It just kind of is what it is with that, you know? But I think I'm going to go ahead and end it here, boys. I'm still on my days off. You know, I'm still on the weekend. I will admit that after doing it, even though it was pretty mid, right? When I got home, took a nice nap. So it certainly helps you go to sleep. And I'll tell you that much. It helps you go to sleep. But that's about it. Just wanted to give my thoughts and stuff like that because, again, it just kind of occurred to me that, you know, there are guys that actually want to kill other men to get that. Like that felt like infinitely, you know, good and stuff like that. Chick isn't even good in the bedroom. But you're over here thinking that your life is worthless or that you should be freaking ruining another guy's relationship trying to sabotage him so that you can get that. It's pretty stupid. It's pretty shallow, you know? It's too bad. But whatever, guys. I'm going to go ahead and get back to enjoying my little time off, chilling. Hope that you guys are hanging in there. Hope you guys are doing well. God bless. I will see you guys next time.